All right. Well, welcome everyone to CSR Marketplace Virtual 2026 and today's session from Purpose to Practice, incorporating social impact across your business, which is sponsored by National Women's Shelter Network. My name is Katie Stearns. I'm the Vice President of Membership and Partnerships at ACCP, and I'm glad you're here. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to join us. If you're not familiar with us, ACCP is the premier membership association for corporate social impact practitioners. And all of our programs, including this week's CSR Marketplace Virtual, are designed to advance our mission to share knowledge, foster solutions, and cultivate a community of corporate social impact peers. So we are glad that you are part of that community today. This is the last of 8 sessions that we have hosted this week as part of CSR Marketplace Virtual. But don't worry, even if you weren't able to join us live for the other sessions, we have recorded all of them, including this one. And those recordings will be posted to the ACCP website next week and then available for your viewing pleasure through the end of the calendar year. Before we get started, I want to highlight some other upcoming ACCP programs. If you happen to be based in Chicago like me, there is still time to join us for next week's CSR Exchange event on June 23rd. That's just one of the local events that we are hosting this year. We will also be in Seattle, Philadelphia, LA, New York, Minneapolis, DC, so keep an eye out for those. On July 9th, members are invited to join us for a topical member discussion, which will be a sneak peek preview of the findings from our annual CSR Insights survey. And then on July 15th, members and non-members alike are invited to join us for a full release of those results. If you're curious about what ACCP membership is all about, we're offering a deep dive into those benefits on July 16th via webcast. And then finally, you don't want to miss the ACCP conference. It is the event of the year for social impact practitioners. This year, we're going to be in Boston in September. An early bird registration for that ends next Friday, June 26th. There's more information about all of these events and plenty others available at accp.org. All right. A few Zoom logistics. First, we have turned on closed captioning and live transcripts. So if you'd like to see that, you can just navigate to the bottom of your Zoom window, look for that CC icon, and then click on the caret to select View Full Transcript. We also invite you to interact with our speakers and with each other. So use that Zoom chat function throughout today's presentation. And please feel free to pop your questions into the Q&A box as they come to you. We'll have some dedicated time at the end to circle back to those, and we'll be happy to address any questions that you might have for our speakers. So with that, it is my pleasure to introduce those speakers who are joining us today. That is Constance Collins, who is the Executive Director of National Women's Shelter Network, and Colleen Wright, a Social Impact Manager at Mattress firm. So Constance, Colleen, over to you.
Thank you, Katie. So I'll start with just a little bit of background on the National Women's Shelter Network. Our mission is to advance the safety, health, well-being, and economic security of women, youth, children, and families experiencing homelessness in our country and the shelters that serve them. We are a relatively new national nonprofit, a fledgling initiative that began about 3.5 years ago in the midst of the pandemic and in response to a growing national crisis of homelessness in communities large and small all across the U.S. Our goal was to create for the first time an information sharing platform to advance best practices, to drive resources to struggling shelters across the country, to inform and educate public and social policy makers about the conditions on the ground and the importance of safe shelter in saving the lives of so many vulnerable individuals and families who are experiencing homelessness in our country. Gratefully, our efforts have been catapulted forward thanks to a partnership with Mattress Firm. And Colleen, you want to share?
Yes, definitely. Well, I think most of you know who Mattress Firm is. It's in our name, but I'll tell you a little bit more. Our purpose truly is to improve people's lives by making better sleep easy. We have, as you can see, about 2,100 stores nationwide and about 7,200 employees. We care deeply about people and their overall health, and we know that how critical sleep is to mental, emotional, physical health, especially for our most vulnerable. So our commitment through this partnership with the National Women's Shelter Network is to ensure every woman, child, and family experiencing homelessness has access to safe, restorative sleep. So today we're going to talk about the power of alignment. When you choose the right partner, impact stops living in one department and starts living everywhere. So we're going to talk a lot about that. And I'm going to share our agenda as well. We'll share Mattress Firm's journey to select the right partner, our framework and activation channels, partnership results, and we'll save some time, as was mentioned earlier, for some questions. So I am going to dive in and get started. When I joined Mattress Firm about 4 years ago, I inherited four national nonprofit partners that really lacked clear alignment with our company's core purpose. And remarkably, three of those four partners did not even have a use for Mattress Firm's products. More concerning, these partnerships offered very limited opportunities for our 8,000 associates to get engaged in their communities. And as most of you can relate, we had limited budget, limited bandwidth, and could not make the impact that we wanted to make. So it was time to rethink our strategy. In early 2024, I met with my boss and her boss, at the time, the EVP of Legal, to make the case. I wanted to narrow our focus to one national nonprofit partner, to broaden our depth, our visibility, our engagement, and our impact. Our North Star was very simple: find one national partner that truly aligned with our purpose, brand, and culture, and to build a partnership really deep enough to create lasting, measurable change. So once we had leadership alignment on the direction that we wanted to go, I used remaining hours with a consultant that we had already paid for to vet potential partners. We reviewed more than 20 national nonprofit partners against criteria that was really created and tailored to our business and our values. So you'll see it on the screen here: clear alignment with purpose and values, the ability to accept point of sale donations from customers, ongoing product need, of course, that's a big one for mattresses and bedding, a national presence and brand credibility, and scalable, ongoing opportunities for our associates to get engaged in their communities. We were not looking for just a good cause. We were looking for strategic synergy. So over 2 months, I met with our consultant to refine the list, adding, removing, pressure testing candidates until we had what I thought was really strong candidates and contenders. So with a short list, I pitched our elevated strategy and budget to our executive leadership team. I started with what was working: 3 years of exponential program growth, high employee engagement at Mattress Firm, operational systems that were already in place, and a clear opportunity to become the social impact leader in the bedding space. Then I layered in data, so purpose-led strategies and Gen Z, millennial expectations, how peer companies were showing up, even our soon-to-be sister company, Tempur Sealy, and social impact best practices and where Mattress Firm was falling short. And then finally, I presented our recommended shift in strategy, the vetted nonprofit partner options, and a budget that was designed to support real scale and impact. And the response from the executive team was overall very positive. but our CEO did raise some concerns about reputational risk and public alignment with recommended benefit. So I left with homework. Over the next 2 months, we went deeper. We engaged our PR agency's CSR specialists to conduct another round of vetting and risk assessment. We invited our executives and their teams to nominate nonprofits. We thought that would be a great way to really build broader buy-in across the company. And at the same time, we tackled a very critical issue. Our customer donations at point of sale had dropped by 50% over the last 3 years. That was very concerning. We surveyed our 6,000 sleep experts. These are people in our stores interacting with customers to understand why. And our hypothesis was we were changing nonprofits too often. We had too many that we were featuring on point of sale. And associates didn't feel confident explaining causes they didn't really know enough about or really connect with. And the data confirmed it. Our associates told us very clearly they didn't feel equipped or inspired to ask customers to give. And that insight became a turning point. So using our original criteria, we narrowed the list to 2 organizations. Our PR agency assessed the 2 organizations based on governance, financial health, media presence, audience alignments, etc. And both organizations checked the boxes. My boss and I met directly with both nonprofit leaders, including Constance, about 2 years ago, almost to the day. Both were strong, both were focused on homelessness. And we brought the decision back to our people, really not to have them vote technically, but to engage, to educate, and to bring them along this journey. Again, going back to the associate buy-in. And results were split 50-50, really confirming that folks were aligned with either nonprofit and felt really tied to their missions. And soon after we made the call, we chose the National Women's Shelter Network for many, many reasons. A deep mission alignment with sleep, dignity, and stability, a national footprint with, at the time, about 350 shelters back in 2024, significant ongoing need for our products, meaningful associate engagement opportunities for our employees, and enormous growth opportunity where our support and Mattress Firm would truly matter. So while we were aligned, I like to say, while we're aligned with one national partner, their network allows us to support now almost 600 organizations, achieving both focus and scale. So by narrowing our focus, we didn't really limit our impact, right? We unlocked it. And this wasn't a 1-year campaign or seasonal partnership. It marked the beginning of a long-term values-aligned relationship. Constance, you want to share your side of the decision-making model?
Sure. Of course, any partnership involves 2 parties and a mutual decision. I would say that the same selection criteria that Colleen outlined from the corporate partners standpoint was applicable to our own evaluation. First and foremost, alignment, their care about people, and our service to shelters on the ground across the country who are supporting women, youth, and children, vulnerable individuals coming in their front door, often with extremely limited resources. And so the donation capability that Mattress Firm brought, both in terms of in-kind products, the natural fit of beds and bedding, but also the point of sale donations, really allowed us to leverage our work going forward. And the national presence was an enormous advantage for us because part of our work is raising awareness on a national level of the crisis of homelessness, and in particular, the special needs of women and children experiencing homelessness. So the national presence allowed us to scale our own visibility. And of course, the volunteer opportunities enabled our team to work closely with their team to engage and support shelters in our network all across the country. So there was tremendous alignment from day one, and we presented a proposal of all the many ways that we thought we could work together. That was just the beginning. In the end, it really was a commitment to strategic planning and listening, sharing, working with each other every step of the way. It's been a phenomenal experience as a result.
100%. So now that you have the backstory of our partnership and how we got to the National Women's Shelter Network, we're going to walk through our 4-channel framework and share examples of truly how every business function really plays a role in our social impact strategy. Beyond a case study, this is truly a scalable model.
So one of the incredible benefits that a national organization, a corporate organization like Mattress Firm brought was the ability to scale the work that we were already doing. And that meant that our team could amplify a campaign multimedia public awareness initiative that was already underway. We had had the benefit of professional creatives assisting us in developing this multimedia campaign, celebrity support from Gloria Estefan and Giselle Bundchen, and alumni of an important shelter program to bring together assets that could be leveraged across Mattress Firm's media, social media, digital, in-store distributions. The key result there was in the very first year, 70 million impressions of for this public awareness campaign across all of Mattress Firm's 2,100 stores, across another philanthropic partner's broadcast media, that was Hearst Broadcasting Corporation, through televised PSAs and social media, podcasts, and other sort of highlighted activities. What we realized is both parties need to bring something to the table. Our responsibility as the nonprofit was to bring the connections across our network, the expertise needed to have meaningful engagement and input in this particular instance of our working together with a shared public awareness campaign.
Okay, so channel 2, sales associates and customers. Both of those groups play such a huge role in this partnership, and point of sale donations at Mattress Firm are a critical piece of our giving strategy. So through the point of sale donation survey that I mentioned earlier, we talked about gaining buy-in from our associates, and we also use these results to further our case for one national nonprofit partner. And in turn, we ended up doubling our customer donations from the previous year, which was huge. So we had a shared goal with the National Women's Shelter Network of raising $1 million in 15 months. And we made the bold decision a little bit into 2025 to increase our donation options at checkout. So increasing those from 5, 10, 20 to 10, 20, 50, and other was always an option. And by doing that, we increased our average donation from $4 to $11 by the end of the year. So $4 started in March and 11 by the end of the year. And it has been consistently around 11, 10, like 10.50 to $11 throughout 2026. And this helped us achieve that $1 million goal. And with one national partner, we've also been able to leverage in-store marketing. And you can see on the screen here, we have co-branded signage in our stores. and in our marketing materials for the first time. And this is a big deal. We have not been able to do this in the past with too many partners and not one clear message or one clear shared mission. So we've been able to leverage that as well, which has been made a big difference, of course, for our customers. And it's obviously resonating with our customers that we're aligned with the National Women's Shelter Network and that they would like to support as well.
So Channel 3 is about the operations and product distributions across the country, actually. We initiated together a Safe Sleep Makeovers pilot project, and this involved selecting shelters that were particularly in need of beds and bedding. In some cases, deep cleaning, makeovers of their common spaces. Maybe it was a library, a dining area, maybe it was a living room, and working with Mattress Firm to orchestrate what you see in these photos, effectively makeovers of shelter spaces to create safer sleeping environments that, even though congregate in this particular example, offer dignity to the women who are participating in that shelter program. We surveyed our shelters to identify those who were most in need. We then matched with Mattress Firm's operations team where the locations would be for doing makeovers, orchestrated all of the particulars associated with ensuring that shelters could still operate while we were doing the makeovers and to achieve the outcomes that you see here. To date, we have now completed together over 10 Safe Sleep Makeovers. These are what we call our Tier 3s. That is, well, we have 3 different tiers now on makeovers, but most importantly are those tiers where we come in, we paint, we deep clean, and we really transform the spaces that the women, youth, and children are occupying in the shelters. And that has meant an enormous contribution of products and utilizing some of our point of sale donations to purchase furniture, purchase the extras, the paint, the cleaning supplies. And as you can see, it's a phenomenal experience for the volunteers, but I will tell you it's equally important, more so for the shelters and the women who benefit from this amazing pilot program.
100%. I'll touch on quickly what we bring to this channel and this program through the Safe Sleep Makeover initiative. So we bring our product, of course, our distribution center network, our logistics expertise, our store operations team who write all of the sales orders for these products to the table and bring this program to life. It's truly a collaboration between Mattress Firm and the National Shelter Network, and also internally through cross-functional engagement. And at the heart of everything in this partnership is people. I do want to call out, last week we were in Lexington, Kentucky. I mentioned earlier our sister company, Temper Sealy. So we had a special partnership with them and the National Women's Shelter Network to work with a youth shelter there. So as we're sharing this story and these results, these are in real time. So this has been an incredibly impactful program and initiative, and we're just getting started. Channel 4 really is people at the heart. Our goal is to engage and educate as many associates, as many customers as possible on this partnership and on the mission of the National Women's Shelter Network. People are truly the engine behind marketing, sales, operations, all of the integrations. We have incorporated opportunities to engage our people in the NWSN at conferences, through new hire trainings, Global Volunteer Month in April, leadership meetings, virtual opportunities, skills-based volunteerism, And then special teams like our events and expositions teams and commercial sales teams as well. Honestly, you name it, we're always looking to go deeper and think of new ways to involve our teams. Uh, and people really are the multiplier here. So, how this partnership works, I think we've spoken a lot about it so far. But really, this partnership is rooted in shared mission, and our relationship grows and compounds because truly the value goes both ways. We are both from the bottom to the top, both organizations. We're milestone driven, we create opportunities for each other, we involve leadership continually. Just a month ago, our entire Mattress Firm's entire executive leadership team volunteered during Global Volunteer Month at our Houston Safe Sleep Makeover, where we had about 50 volunteers over the course of the day. And they spent time unboxing all of our product, making up beds, stuffing stuffed animals. So there was a special touch, and these nice sleep leave behind bags for all of the residents there. And we continue to really push each other and make brands stronger through this partnership. I have to say, we used to have to invite ourselves, like our social impacts team, to meetings internally and try to be part of the conversation and for them to think about social impact. And now departments truly are coming to us to offer new opportunities with the NWSN and ask how they can get involved. They really don't want to miss out, and they want to be included. They want to be invited. And I would say that is the power of alignment and associate and leadership buy-in. When mission, brand, and culture are aligned, truly the sky is the limit.
And the results show that. As Colleen mentioned, over $1 million in point of sale donations raised. This is in addition to the grants that Mattress Firm and its affiliated foundation are providing to the NWSN. It's of course the 70 million plus impressions for our public awareness campaign, Safe Shelter Saves Lives, and the importance of ensuring that women, youth, and children have a safe space to make those successful transitions that are so necessary for establishing stable housing as they move forward. The NWSN has been able to distribute over $2 million in distributions, in-kind and financial distributions since its beginning. With the help of Mattress Firm, we've launched a toll-free helpline, which provides individual victim services and makes linkages to shelters around the country, as well as transfers from one shelter to another where a domestic violence issue necessitates that kind of transfer. Our network has grown from 340 women's, youth, and family shelters when we first met Mattress Firm to over 500, and actually as of today, 595 shelters and safe haven programs. Tremendous growth. We're now in all 50 states and 3 U.S. territories with their help. That's partially public awareness campaign, but it's also just spreading by word of mouth amongst the shelters about the value of being part of the NWSN and the work that we're doing on the ground in communities all across the country. And of course, I think as we step back, we know that the shelters are so deeply appreciative of the work that we're doing on the ground, providing national conferences, information sharing, education, and training. But key to us, and what speaks to my heart really, is that 93% of the Safe Sleep Makeover survey respondents cited better sleep quality, and equally important, feeling valued, seen, cared for, and loved. And that, I think, is a testament to the heart that is going in to this philanthropic partnership on the ground.
100%. And that's what it's all about. That's what we're in the business of doing, improving people's sleep. And when we can do that for the most vulnerable, that's success. So I'm going to talk briefly about just kind of some wrap up, and Constance is going to bring us home. So I've said this throughout. I'm not going to harp on it too much, but it's all about alignment, mission, brand, culture. This has really been true to our success in our partnership and impact. And it must be tied directly to your core business. And secondly, leverage all of your engagement channels. Get creative in how you get your teams, departments, your expertise, your people involved. People want to be invited to do good, and soon they will be coming to you with ideas. Constance, bring us home.
Yeah, this next point is about underutilized assets and identifying those within your corporate organization in ways that perhaps you never imagined could advance social impact. And, whether that's the warehouse and distribution or retail sales agents, whether that is a marketing and communications team, executive teams. What we discovered in this philanthropic partnership is that by working together, listening to each other, and really becoming creative in our strategic planning and implementation, learning from the challenges that we faced, and then adapting to the next event or activity that we were doing, we had tapped into underutilized assets every step of the way. And those assets translated into meaningful impact on the ground for the women, youth, children, and families that we serve. So I just want to say that sometimes it's not easy to see until two partners sit down and begin to explore together what the opportunities are. But they exist, and it's a matter of willing partners working together to identify those opportunities and to really engage those corporate superpowers for good.
Colleen, Constance, thank you for sharing this story of a partnership truly done right. You're inspiring me about all the potential that exists, and I'm particularly excited, and hopefully we'll dig into with some of the questions, Colleen, a little bit how you have managed to engage so many parts of the business in this work. So I want to invite folks. Please feel free to drop your questions into the Q&A. We've got one to get us started, and then I know I have a few, but someone was interested in particular, the point of sale donations. And the question is, have those point of sale donations led to greater awareness in general? I think this is generally about the organization, residual donors, site visits, sign-ins for newsletters, but what additional implications have you seen or outcomes have you seen from those point of sale donations?
Yeah, when we first launched this, and I think Constance, you can probably speak to this too, but when we first launched this partnership, we were kind of in a sprint to get as many people educated on our national partner as possible. And we were in a sprint for a few reasons, but the idea is we rolled this out nationally at our conference. We kind of kept it a secret when I said we decided in kind of late summer of last year or year before. We actually like announced it to everyone to all of our leadership, at our national conference. And then when we got back from the conference, we decided to update all of our internal kind of education. We have like a virtual campus where everyone gets trained on HR and have all of their kind of sales trainings, et cetera. And so we have a give back. That's what we call our program internally. So we updated our give back program training to include information about the National Shelter Network, why we're partnered, how to talk to customers about the partnership. We immediately started working on in-store signage, things like that. And I think it took a little bit, but we worked really hard to educate as quickly as possible and kind of get the word out as much as possible about our new partnership that fall. And people were very excited. People responded very well at the conference when we first announced it. And we knew that it struck a chord. We knew that it touched people's hearts. People were very aligned with a national partner. That was a frustration, I think, in the past. And so we immediately saw gains from the customer donations. Constance, do you want to add anything on that end?
Yeah, I guess I would say from our vantage point, uh, the point of sale donation education that occurred with customers was really vital because we ended up not only spreading the word about the importance of safe shelter for women, youth, and children and families, um, we gave people a way to make a difference just in their individual everyday purchasing decisions, and to be part of, if you will, this movement to ensure that safe shelter is available. And and so that awareness led to something else that we weren't initially expecting, but it was we started getting more calls at the national network for help. And ultimately, the point of sale donations are fueling and funding our national helpline, as well as our victim services specialists, and really pushing our work forward in ways that we didn't initially anticipate. So I think, the point of sale component to this entire partnership was vital. It engaged customers. It allowed them to make a difference and to join the partnership effectively. It became a three-way partnership.
Incredible. That's exactly the kind of impact you want to see, right? It's not just the funding coming in, but the awareness building
Yeah,
around the cause and the issue as well.
yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add
Well,
one more thing on that. It's just some recognition that we were able to do for our top fundraisers. We've been doing that since we launched this new partnership, and quarterly we announce like the top 10 fundraisers in the top three regions throughout the country who are raising the most money for the National Women's Shelter Network. And we are very competitive. We're a sales organization, so that speaks to our team. Maybe it's not the same everywhere, um, but they're already kind of competing on the sales side. So they respond to that, and they are, we're able to gain best practices, how to talk to customers when you reach out to those top fundraisers, and it really resonates and kind of ask best practices to share. So that's been a great outcome too.
I love that. Well, and piggybacking on that, maybe you can share a little bit more, Colleen, about how not just employee engagement has shifted, but how customer engagement has shifted from, the previous structure when you were mentioning having fragmented partnerships and a lack of clarity and confidence for employees to talk about it, to now this newly integrated strategy. How have you seen customer engagement change?
Yeah, so I think in 2024, we started this partnership at the close to the end of 2024. So really most of 2024, we had seen, like I said earlier, like a 50% drop in participation. And we also had those lower levels of donation options. And so we made a goal, right, internally. So that was a big deal. We announced that goal, and that was really something we were striving after. And we made a real effort to really educate our associates and make sure they were saying the right things to customers and really aligning the mission and why we're tied with the National Women's Shelter Network. And what we saw was we doubled. So we had just around like $400,000 raised, 450 in the previous year, and we doubled that for the next year. So obviously, it's resonating with customers. People are very moved engaged and very connected with the fact that Mattress Firm is tied to and partnered with the National Women's Shelter Network. So we've seen enormous growth, and we're continuing to see growth. So our initial goal was $1 million in 15 months, and it is now $1 million in 12 months, right? So, and we're already on par and on course to achieve that by the end of the year. So it's resonating, it's growing, and that's the
Clearly.
whole idea.
Well, and incredible when you think about the fact that, these conversations really just, it seemed like culminated in late 2024, and here we are, June 26th, and so much has already been accomplished. It was especially cool to hear you talk about the buy-in across functions and the way that it has brought people from across the company out to locations to be part of Give Back Days, but certainly up and down the ladder engaged. What made the biggest difference in being able to drive the buy-in across functions? Because I think that's a real challenge for counterparts at other companies.
Yeah, I think the key there is that we really brought them along the journey the entire time that we were elevating our strategy. So early 2024, when I pitched to executive leadership, they were on board. They talked to their teams. We did the point of sale donation survey. That's a survey of 6,000 people out of our 8,000, right? So we already hit so many of our associate base. And leadership was on board, our associates were on board. They knew that if we aligned with one national partner, we would be able to truly make a difference and really narrow that focus and broaden our impact really through narrowing our focus. So I think just involving them through the journey, we surveyed them throughout the process, we kept them informed. We kind of did like a big lead up to, and kind of not tease, but a little bit of a tease to announcing it on the big stage at our national conference. So this was also a big deal. This was the first time. So this was in October, like late October of 2024. This was the first time that a national nonprofit partner of Mattress Firms was invited to come onto the big stage at our conference of 600 leaders of Mattress Firm. All of our leadership across the company was there. And, we had a big rollout plan. So I think we did it well with teasing it, with getting involvement, getting people to engage and nominate. And then we did this big reveal at the conference. They heard Constance speak. And if you hear Constance speak, you want to be involved. You are to engage and to buy in. And then those leaders took that excitement. They went back to their associates and their teams and got them excited. And then we did this rollout across the company of our virtual campus, et cetera. So I think the process of involving them throughout was really key to the success and continues to be the key to the
That's
success.
great. That's great.
I would add something as well, and that is what we have heard repeatedly on the ground when we do the safe sleep makeovers or we do the events with Mattress Firm associates is how much fun they have. I mean, they really seem to enjoy, it may be counterintuitive, but rolling up their sleeves and cleaning bathrooms and under beds and making beds and stuffing animals and all sorts of things. Painting, like this is, in some cases, it's hard work, honestly. And yet at our last makeover, I heard people who drove 3 hours to come to do that safe sleep makeover from the Mattress Firm stores in the nearby region. I mean, it was impressive to see how people engaged with each other and formed new bonds, friendships, and took away a sense of pride that they could see that they had made a tangible difference that day.
Incredible.
100%.
I love it. Well, I'm going to ask my colleagues to pop back up the screen with your contact information. There's one last question I want to try to squeeze in here. So if you would each just share a few words of wisdom on this, but Maeve is wondering a little bit about the journey of the partnership. If there's ever been any give or take, any ideas that didn't make sense for one party or that you had to navigate to come to alignment. So if you could share a few thoughts on that, we would love it.
Colleen, you first.
Oh gosh, that was like a minute ago. Um, we, we just talked, Constance just mentioned attitude, which was brilliant that I had thought, which was the volunteer aspect, right? So as part of the journey and getting people bought in was getting people involved as quickly as possible so that they understood the partnership, they understood the reason why they partnered, and got to experience it either in a shelter or I mentioned earlier, we have virtual opportunities. I wouldn't say necessarily things that didn't work, but there's always some challenges in rolling out new things, especially to so many people, right? We have 7,200 employees. Um, so we worked back and forth on the best opportunities for virtual engagement. And it's not always like behind a computer. It can be in a small group at a store. So like when we have 2 to 3 employees who can't leave their desk, but they want to make a difference and they want to write notes of affirmations for nearby shelters or put together a small sleep inspired kit or health and wellness inspired kit. And they can do that at their home or in the warehouse or at a store. So I think it took us a little bit to find our groove there and figuring out what do our associates need and where are their limitations and what do the shelters actually need in the flesh. So I think we had to work through that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that for us, this partnership has really been an evolving one. We began with some initial concepts and of course field tested those concepts. And then as time has gone on, I think we get better at them. I think we've learned ways to make the experience as rich as possible for the employees that are participating, and whether that's, the CEO or that's someone doing warehouse and distribution work as part of these. What my sense of it is it has really brought people together across the company, and has broken down maybe normal hierarchical distinctions within the company because it takes a team, a village, to build a village. And that has been, I think, an extraordinary experience to see unfold in the course of this partnership. Uh, the whole village has come together to make it the success that it is, and the whole village celebrates that success, and um, and takes away that sense of pride and accomplishment and and commitment to further the social impact as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you both. I think you've given all of us a lot of inspiration, whether we are from a nonprofit or a corporate organization, to think about the power of partnerships. So thank you for sharing your story with us. We want to invite all of you to share your feedback on today's session. So if you would scan the QR code on your screen or click on that link in the chat and take a minute to answer our 4-question survey, we would love to hear your thoughts. And I'll say again, Colleen, Constance, thank you. What a beautiful ending to CSR Marketplace Virtual 2026. We hope your story inspires lots more partnerships, and we wish you all well in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.